play the game of Ticket to Ride, first a game board area will be set up. The game board is quite large and each player will need their own separate player area, so a large playing surface is needed. Each player will choose a color to play as and place their marker in the start area of the game board. The train car cards and the destination ticket cards are shuffled and placed into stacks on the side of the game board. The top 5 train car cards are flipped up on the side of the game board as well. There is also one longest path card that will be placed next to the other piles of cards. Each player will have their own player area, which will include their 45 train cars of their chosen color, 3 destination tickets, and 4 train car cards. Each player will look at the 3 destination tickets they were dealt and decide which ones to keep. They must keep at least 2, but they can decide to keep all 3 if they want. Each destination card connects 2 cities. The red dots on each card show the general location of the cities. The number in the bottom right-hand corner tells the number of points a player scores when they complete this route. They will lose these points if they don't complete the route. All players should take care when choosing their routes to make sure they don't choose too many routes that they won't be able to complete during the game. Any routes they do not want to keep will be placed on the bottom of the destination ticket deck. All players should keep their destination tickets and train car cards secret from other players. After setting up the game, players are ready to start playing. After setting up the game, players are ready to start playing. The most experienced traveler takes the first turn. On a player's turn, they will choose one of the 3 following actions. Their first option is to take 2 train cards from the train card area. They may choose cards from the flipped up cards, the top card of the draw deck, or a mixture of the 2. Whenever they take one of the face-up cards, they immediately replace it with the top card from the draw deck. A player is allowed to take any of the 5 face-up cards, but if they take a locomotive card, they may only take 1 card during their turn. If they choose a card and flip up the next card and it is a locomotive, they are not allowed to choose that card. If at any time 3 or more of the flipped up cards are locomotives, all of the cards are placed in the discard pile and 5 new cards are flipped up. When they draw a random card from the draw deck, they take the top card of the deck and place it in their hand. They are allowed to choose 2 cards, even if they drew a locomotive. The second action they can choose to do is to claim a route. During the game, players are working to complete individual routes that will fulfill their destination cards. When they claim a route, they may only claim 1 route during their turn. The route they claim does not have to be connected to any other routes. There are 2 main types of routes. Some routes have distinct colors, such as this blue route from Santa Fe to Oklahoma City. These routes require a player to discard cards from their hand of that color. They must discard cards equal to the amount of boxes in the route. So this route has 3 boxes and would require 3 blue cards. Then the player places their train cars over the route to claim it as theirs. The other type of route is gray in color, such as this route from Santa Fe to Phoenix. These routes give a player freedom to choose the color of train cars they use to complete the route. The only requirement is that all of the cards must be of the same color. They discard the cards and place their train cars on the route, just as previously described. In both the color and gray routes, sometimes there are double routes shown, such as this route from Salt Lake City to Denver. These type of routes allow 2 different players to claim the route, such as this. In a 2 or 3 player game, only 1 player is allowed to play on a double route. Players can use the locomotive wild cards in place of any colored card. Any cards used to claim a route are discarded. If at any time the draw deck runs out, the discard pile will be shuffled to create a new draw deck. Whenever any player claims an individual route, such as this, they score points immediately. To score their points, they will count up the number of train cars they just placed on the board. Then they will look at the chart on the bottom right-hand corner of the game board. They will locate the number of train cars they placed, and then they will trace it over to see how many points they scored. Then that player would move their scoring marker up that amount of points. As you can see by the chart, the more train cars you place in a route, the more points you score. If while a player is placing train cars, they complete one of their destination tickets, they can note somehow that it is completed, but don't have to tell other players they have completed a route. Completed destination tickets will be scored at the end of the game. The final option a player has is to draw new destination tickets. To do this, they will draw the top 3 cards from the deck. Look at them and decide which ones to keep. They must keep at least 1, but can decide to keep 2 or 3. Any routes they choose to keep are placed face down with the rest of their routes. And any routes they don't want are placed at the bottom of the destination ticket pile. If at any time during the game a player chooses to draw new tickets and there are not enough tickets left in the deck to draw 3, they will only draw the number of cards left. Players will continue playing in clockwise order, doing 1 action per turn. The end of the game is triggered when any player gets down to 2 train cars or less at the end of their turn. When this happens, each player gets 1 final turn, including the player who triggered the end of the game. When all players have had their final turn, each player flips up their destination tickets. They will score the points listed on the card for any route they completed. A completed route is any route a player can trace from one location to the other. So this blue route successfully connects Portland to Phoenix. So the blue player would gain the 11 points for this card and move their scoring marker up 11 points on the scoring track. Unfortunately, any unfinished routes lose a player the amount of points listed on the card. For instance, the red player was unable to complete their route from Calgary to Phoenix. So they would lose the 13 points from their destination card they didn't complete and move their scoring marker back 13 points. Finally, each player counts up their longest continuous train car path. The player with the most train cars in their longest continuous path gains the longest path card. This card gains them 10 points. The player who ends the game with the most points wins. In the event of a tie, the player with the most completed destination cards is declared the winner. In the very rare event that both players have the same amount of completed destination tickets, the player who owns the longest path card is declared the winner.